Hello, Star Wars fans. There's just 80 days until Christmas 2022. Oh boy, and we've got a fun show today. We have I've updated the Wall of Fame. You will see a rare name appeared in the Wall of Fame this week. It hardly ever happens, but my good friend, Imagic Maker, hello there.
Hello.
You made the Wall of Fame, my friend.
I told you what I was going to do, and I wanted to see. So last week I said all yes, and this week I said all no.
And look what happened.
And look what happened. I didn't even read it. I just did the whole thing.
Yeah, really.
So there you go.
It was good. We have Darth Elvis has joined us. Elvis is in the building. Good to see you, my friend.
And how are you?
Very good. Very good. It's great to see you. And we have a first-time appearance. It's a special treat today. We have Jedi Mike with us. Hello, sir.
Hey, good morning, guys. Chilling here in California.
Yeah.
Happy to be
great. Here. Oh, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. So we've got from Scotland to California here on the show today. It's great. And speaking of Scotland, episode 5 of Andor featured your hometown pretty well there, Greg.
Yeah, looking good. I think next week's going to be even more with the. Looks like it's going to be the dam set, Cruachan Dam location next week. I think to wrap up that section. So all good.
Excellent. Well, we'll get to that and more in a little bit. I thought we would start off today because last Saturday was PulseCon 2022 Star Wars panel, Star Wars reveals, and all of that. And as I said right before we came on live, to put it generously, to be as gracious as I can, it was not all that well received. Right? The excitement over this this one was not high. So let me just share for folks that didn't see the reveals. There were a number. Of course, Andor was featured. So Black Series, you get Cassian, and I can't remember her name. Can you guys remember her name? I just showed you.
Bix.
Bix.
Mon Mothma?
Bix. Yeah, Bix. Bix is there. That's Bix Seer, right? And then Mon Mothma. This, I think, is the highlight of the day.
It looks so nice.
It really is. Wonderful, wonderful figure.
A lady who doesn't seem to age.
Right? And she looks better. She looks so much. She looks smoking hot. She's really good. And then,
she's got a great administrational staff or something.
Right? Right? And then, of course, we get from Mandalorian...
the Axe Wolves, is it?
Axe Wolves. Yeah. And then we get some retro figures, kind of. We got Han Solo with a soft goods cloak there. It looks it's a great Han Solo. Leia from Andor as well. And then there's a Wicket, right? And finally a Scout Trooper. So nice throwback to Empire, right? So nice figures from there. Then we switch over to the pipeline reveals. Return of the Jedi. Again, all of these are great. I think the Vader with the helmet and getting the original Vader there is a good move. And then, of course, my favorite, Cad Bane, right there from the Book of Boba Fett. And then we get Tusken. Then we get into the vintage collection. They did show this Andor. Again, they're featuring Andor strongly in the whole wave. But this set will be very popular, and just reading from other vintage collectors, the ones that exist now are very high on eBay. This will help bring down the price, and for people wanting to get this set, it's going to help for those folks. We get some pipelines again. Get a weak quay in there, and figures from Jabba's barge. Again, Vader. I like when they do this, when they release the vintage collection figure that they're also releasing in Black Series. So you get Vader there, the same kind of deal there. And then we did have reveals, Andor, Cassian, and Vel Sartha, and then is this
Hunter.
Hunter.
Yeah.
That's right. There he is, Hunter, on the card back, and then lastly some pipelines. So overall, just to cover all of those kind of quickly, I saw that our friend Tim, Bosk Bounty, gave the entire day like a 4 out of 10. Like, so that's tough. That's a tough day, and I think for collectors, largely disappointing. There's some highlights for sure, but largely disappointing. You guys follow it? What do you think?
I'm wondering about the Cad Bane. So is the new Cad Bane with the Boba Book of Boba hat? Is it like the same print? Because you always talk about how they reprint old things. What do you think about that?
They certainly do. Repaints are their thing. This looks like to be from Book of Boba, because it looks like the live action version. Now this is a pipeline. It's just a picture from the show.
Right. And is it a tease? Are we getting a tease of the show, and it's really going to be the same figure from the last print?
Exactly. That's really good. A good point. It'll be something to watch as it gets closer to production. For sure. Absolutely.
That's exciting, though. And any of the other Book of Boba stuff, like I saw the girl from the train, the girl, excuse me, warrior princess or whatever she is. Like that was really looked like a cool figure. That would be a very cool, especially if they had a fabric cloth cape. Yeah.
Out of the whole thing, again, I go back to Mon Mothma. To me, the Black Series Mon Mothma is the highlight. Disappointed we don't get a vintage collection Mon Mothma of that. I mentioned I like when they do both, and maybe it's my bias, but me personally, I feel like vintage collections are more collectible for somebody who wants to set up dioramas or have like an entire set. Vintage is the way to go. Yep. And especially what they've done now with the photoreal paint and the articulation, the features that come on a vintage collection figure. There's no reason vintage should take backseat to Black Series. It's just kind of ridiculous.
Especially with the packaging changes coming with the Black Series packaging changing again. It's going to be all cardboard, and at least the vintage collections remaining the way it's always been since the 70s. So
yeah. Hey, we have another guest. The Star Wars obsession. Hello, my friend.
Oh man, that darn freeway! I thought I took another left at Albuquerque.
Hey, so we've been talking about the Hasbro PulseCon. Did you follow that at all? What are your thoughts on the reveals?
No, I didn't get into on any of the toy droppies.
Okay.
I didn't follow any of it. I kind of missed the whole thing. But I like toys.
That's okay. That's okay. I do want to cover a couple of other things because somebody asked me this question earlier in the week. They said, everything that's a hot toy. So we talked about the PulseCon stuff. Oh, there you go. Purple helmet.
Wow. Looks so cool.
Well, and I mean, in all honesty, I'm always on the hunt for great toys, right? Yeah. So I'm constantly in auctions, and the new stuff is great, but I'm always trying to get my hands on something vintage or something unique.
Well, I know you like giveaways, Obsession. You love them, and I've got a really big one here, huge. It's been on order for a very long time. Take a look. Oh, look at the size of this thing. Oh, Look at the size of that thing. We've got Boba on the throne, hot toy. So this is Boba and throne that we're going to give away on the channel.
Nice.
To anybody that's a supporter, channel member at the Elite Squad level. So, and you have to have been there for at least 6 months. So this is coming for our Elite Squad members. It is quite huge. We're going to draw a random name from there. And
Ducky Momo.
Oh no! And we're going to add to this the Fennec Shand figure that goes with the throne room set as well. So this is fantastic. I'm excited. It just came in the mail yesterday from our folks over at Hot Toys. So very excited about that. And
But did you say, is that a special tier? Is that like a big end of the month thing?
it is for our Elite Squad members. We have 3 tiers. We have at just $2 a month, our Blizzard Battalion members. At $5 a month, we have Snowpack. And then $10 a month is Elite Squad. And you could join here on YouTube, or you could do that over in Patreon. And at least 6 months, you have to have been Elite Squad for at least 6 months. And when we get the Fennec Shand figure in, we're going to give away the throne room, the throne, Boba, and Fennec, all hot toy. You'll have the entire scene in the hot toy collectible there. I'm very excited about that.
And whatever tier you're on, your elven life is written away for perpetuity.
So that's very exciting. So we'll see how it goes. I've been excited to get it, and the question now, we talked about of the reveals, PulseCon reveals. What are you most excited for? And I'll give everybody a chance to pipe in. For me, it's Mon Mothma, Black Series Mon Mothma, and then the hope is that they'll give us that same figure in Vintage Collection very soon. But what would be your favorite from the 2022 PulseCon?
For me, I would have to say it's non-Star Wars. It's the Indiana Jones retro collection figure. But going Star Wars, it would be the Tusken warrior and Tusken chieftain.
Wonderful. Jedi Mike, you follow it at all?
Well, I was going to go. I'm all about the snap models. I do regular modeling with glue and decals and the snap models. So the last one that I have is a retro Boba Fett. I look for the ones that are in the Target lower stack, and I like to do those, and it gets me calm. But I don't know about this release.
Okay. And Obsession, I know you weren't following it.
If I'm not mistaken, didn't they just release a Cody helmet?
Black Series Cody helmet?
Not Cody, Rex. Didn't they just release a Rex helmet this year? I thought somebody was really excited about a Rex helmet release.
Somebody will have to tell us in the chat. I don't follow the Black Series helmets that well.
I'm pretty sure they released a Rex helmet because our buddy X-Wing was pretty pumped about it.
He was in the chat.
And he followed. Yeah,
I saw X-Wing in the chat, so maybe he'll let us know.
That would be for me.
The question somebody asked me, of all the hot figure toys, all the hot toy figures that are pipelined, are there any that you're excited for, or are you even familiar with them? And just to let you know, like this Boba Fett that we showed in the throne room scene and Fennec, I thought that was going to be huge. That's why I ordered them as giveaways for the channel. But I think after the Book of Boba Fett, maybe they lost a little bit of luster. I think they're still going to be very popular because they're just awesome figures, and it's an awesome set. But for the Hot Toys figure, I went with probably the best one coming out would be the Luke Skywalker from season 2 of Mando finale, right? Crushing the Death Trooper there, Dark Trooper.
And had they released a really nice one of Kenobi from the new show, with his new robe and stuff, like with the action, that's what Hot Toys does well.
They really do.
Yeah, didn't they do a Kenobi with the rocks and his
Yeah.
saber? I think they did.
Yeah.
The face sculpt was a little bit off for my liking for that one. That's because that was one I was kind of hoping they would release, and I kind of saw it, and I was like, it's not quite Ewan McGregor enough.
Background looks, the rocks all floating,
Yeah.
like super cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to post, we're going to change topics here in a second. I think we've spent enough time on that. But I
Speaking
wanna
about
post-
unique things. There's that.
Oh, Darth Elvis on a
Darth
card
Elvis.
back. Oh, so that was a gift from a friend, a supporter.
A drummer from the band does custom figures for musicians and stuff. So
That's a
custom
good
job.
guy, man.
He's a good lad.
Absolutely brilliant.
Thanks, Andy.
So
Sorry.
on the to change topics, on the 26th of this month, we do have a new series being released, Tales of the Jedi, October 26th. Where are you on that
Oh, no.
that series as a whole?
I'm so excited.
I'm as excited as a schoolgirl. I can't even tell you. This is going to be some of the most. Look, they're patching holes in stories, right? It's going to be. I honestly, I can't wait.
And the poster is so cool.
Posters
Yeah,
totally
I was going to pull that poster up just so we can show it on the Tales of the Jedi poster. I'll pull it up. Go ahead, Greg. What were you going to say?
I was shocked at the animation style because I missed the panel for Tales of the Jedi at Celebration, so I was not expecting it to be in the same animation style as Clone Wars and Bad Batch. So as soon as I saw that trailer come out, it just blew all the hair off my head. Obviously, I had a big Elvis quiff before, and just blew off.
I think I kind of expected it to be this style of animation because the Rebels style of animation was so disliked. The storytelling was fantastic, but the thin lightsabers, the we're gonna say updated, but the different animated style. I think the only way that this could be successful would be to continue the Bad Batch season 7 Clone Wars style because it's so accepted. I think Rebels had its chance, and I think just the biggest thing people didn't like was the thin lightsabers.
I like the. Oh yeah, that's what
I'm mega excited here.
Exactly, and we get the juxtaposition, the balance of the picture with Yaddle on the left side there, and Dooku opposite her. We know what's coming as a battle between them, and a spoiler is that he is supposed to kill her. So we'll see how that plays itself out. But the other images on the poster are quite good. This is an Inquisitor, but we don't know the context of it.
Can I input real quick?
Yeah.
It seems like, to me, specifically with the Ahsoka story, I've dissected that trailer frame by frame. It seems like, to me, this is Dave Filoni's way out because everybody expects something from the Ahsoka novel in his story, his live action story. I don't think he has the time with the story he's going to tell. So I think this is Dave Filoni's ace up his sleeve to give us the things that were in the Ahsoka book in canon animated. And so that Inquisitor that you're passing, it seems like they're going to replace the Inquisitor in the book with this new Inquisitor, which is perfectly fine. It's an adaptation, but I think this is going to be the best story in the entire
Well,
show.
and if you look, there are 3 stories, right? 3 story arcs being told, if I'm right, or 2. Is there 2 or 3? You guys remember? 3. Yeah.
3, but there's 3. I think 2 of them are so close together that it seems like 2.
Okay, I could be wrong, but but you can see the Inquisitor. You get little Ahsoka, older. This would presumably her mom and her grandmother, and there's Ahsoka. So a lot of featuring of Ahsoka's story in these 3. The Dooku story there with Yaddle and Dooku, and then as we come around the other side. Oh shoot, what's this guy's name? I know his name.
Bay, right?
Yeah. Sanube. He's going to be there. Here's Ahsoka again, and of course Obi-Wan, Rex. It just looks to be. There's Bail. Don't tell any secrets. No secrets.
And this is kind of what I was getting to. So we have the Dooku story. That's obvious. That's Dooku's turn, or the start of his fall. We're finally potentially going to see what happened to Yaddle. Everybody's always speculated she did this, she left to do this, yada yada yada. This is what I'm saying. They're finally closing the book on some of these speculations that the fans have had over the decade. But what's more important is these two Ahsoka stories. I think there's two Ahsoka stories tied into this. And the biggest thing to take away from this is we're getting the Ahsoka story of how she was gathered, possibly her, we might get her first gathering, or as a youngling to get her first saber crystal, and then some other stuff along that journey potentially. But then there's the other side of that where Anakin is literally training her to survive Order 66 without knowing he's doing it, right? So whether he has a premonition or has dreams just like he did for Padme and his mom, it seems like he had a vision or he had a dream about her just getting gunned down. Not necessarily it being clones, but just her getting gunned down. And it seems like he realizes he has to train her for this. And then we're actually going to get to see why she is one of the most unique Jedi in the entire order that has two sabers, right? That's not a very Jedi thing. Dual sabers, sure, but two sabers is very unique with the Jedi. Sith, it's pretty common. And he teaches her to wield her second saber to save her life, right? It's crazy. The implications in these stories are going to be monumental.
Yeah. I think filling in some of the lore is going to be helpful as well. Jedi Mike, what do you think about the story arcs we're getting?
I like the potential for the story arcs. I don't read that much into some of the tea. Hail Lambhead. Sometimes I'm in deep and sometimes I'm not. The thing that I like is the animation style discussion that we're having. And you might see it in the Discord sometimes. I'm a big proponent of Star Wars Kids. And they have these amazing recaps that let the young people really see it. And that animation style is interesting. So I just wonder over here at ABC, Disney, like that building that I drive past when I'm going, what are they doing? Who's in charge of the animation? Why do they have different styles for different things? It's fine for me, but the whole point is I think they're drawing the kids in, and we could have years and years of this. That's what's exciting to me in terms of arcs is future potential. Yeah,
and that's really critical in raising up the next generation of Star Wars fans.
Absolutely. It was Star Wars Clone Wars that got my eldest Elliot into Star Wars. He's obsessed with Star Wars, and especially the clones and the clones' journeys. And I think the new show that's coming, I forget, Young Jedi Adventures, I think might be the one that will hook in my 6 and 8-year-olds who haven't quite got to the point where they're interested in Star Wars yet. They kind of like the Lego specials, to watch those. But I think things like Young Jedi Adventures will bring them in, but probably won't make me too happy. But I watch all of it. I enjoy it all. So
I love every infographic, every mindfulness thing. I'm a Star Wars kids shill, Disney shill for sure.
No issue with that on this channel, none at all. No. Imagic Maker, what are you looking forward?
I'm actually looking forward to it. The main reason I'm looking forward to it is because Ahsoka's in it. I feel like Filoni will is directly involved, which for me, he's pretty good about keeping continuity with his visuals, and that's what I like. So when he's I like him being involved as the master planner of Star Wars, and I'd prefer no other than him, in all honesty, just in the same realm as things were in my opinion, that when Lucas at least kept some things in his head that kept the feel of continuity through, even if he was discontinuous in some of his storytelling.
Well, and these books, although people latch onto them, these are more guidelines than rule, right? For current projects. So like things like this, where we get this amazing story, he's going to pull a lot of stuff out of this and make a lot of this canon. And I think specifically the duel with the Inquisitor, where she gets her white saber crystals. I have my own theory, but I hope we're going to get that in full in this. And I think this is his way of being able to tell that, because I don't think he could pull it off in animation. I
think you're largely right on that. Like, this is going to fill in some of Ahsoka's story more at the end, like the backstory.
And that's why Bale's in the poster, because I think we could potentially see that interaction where Ahsoka sneaks onto Bale's ship, gives R2 a little pet. How you doing, R2? And then becomes Fulcrum, right? I think that's going to seeing that interaction with Bale is huge, because it shows that she was a giant part of the rebellion.
Absolutely. And it does raise some it does raise some issues with the Kenobi show. If you've read the Ahsoka novel and you're familiar with Ahsoka contacting Bale before the series of events that happens in Kenobi, and why he leans so hard on Kenobi and not Ahsoka at all. That was one of the things that I noticed in the show. It's like when he said, "You're the only guy I trust." I'm like, what about Ahsoka?
But could Ahsoka be trusted? Right. Because right now the biggest secret in the entire galaxy is the twins were born because she was at Padme's funeral. She saw the lump. Everybody assumes the babies died with her, right? So the biggest secret in the galaxy is the babies live. And if Ahsoka is introduced into this, there's only this many people that know the truth, like the true truth about both the kids. Right. I don't think Bale could put the kids at risk, right? Because Ahsoka, everybody thinks Kenobi's dead, right? But Ahsoka could still be hunted because she's part of the rebellion. So for me, it fits perfect because she is the secret also, right? Bale's the holder of secrets, man. He's Dumbledore, bro. He's got every secret in his pocket. He's just pulling secrets out. You get a secret. You get a secret.
It's like, does Mon Mothma know Obsession? Does Mon Mothma know the secret? How deep does it go?
No, I honestly think Bale was a G, right? Because he's constantly surrounded by Palpatine and his Force-sensitive thugs, right? And he's, especially on Coruscant, he's got Luke and Leia's secret. He's got Ahsoka's secrets. He's got secrets everywhere. He's hiding from everybody. And I think he's very good at compartmentalizing what's important. And the kids are number one, right? The rebellion is up there, but the kids are the number one priority for the New Hope.
Yeah, it's interesting you say.
I think if you say that, then he is not doing a very good job, because
that's
putting stuff on an open comm link and everything. It shows he's not very good at keeping secrets. I mean it's by happenstance. I agree with you saying that Ahsoka coming involved prior to Kenobi creates issues, but I don't think Filoni was very, very much involved in the making of Kenobi, and I think he just doesn't care, and he's going to let it. No, I don't think he cares about it. I think he's going to let that happen, and he can't do anything about it, so he just washes his hands of it.
Executive I think in charge of production. That's a bold statement to say he doesn't care.
I think he cares, but his level of involvement is certainly
right. So when I say he's trying to keep in the stories that he's involved in, he is going to do his best to keep the continuity, and he will do his best if given the opportunity to try to tie everything together. But If he's not involved in it, he just washes his hands with it and says, "I can't do anything with it."
I don't think
He can because he can
creative.
argue till he's blue in the face, and if people want to do what they want to do that are over him, they will do it,
But
and he
there's
has
nobody
no say.
over him at the story group. That's the thing. There's nobody.
There is a person who leads up these.
Kathleen
leads up
Kennedy is
certain
the only
stories.
person ahead of him at Lucasfilm Story.
That's right, and she's going to do what she wants to do, and there's nothing he
I
can
don't
do
know.
about it.
I'm not as adamant on that as my friend the Magic Maker, but we're sort of. I'm the guy in the middle. I'm the Bindu here, but
Right.
I'm in the middle too. I feel I got forced feelings on this. Very strong forced feelings.
I just think that when she decides she's going to overrule whoever, she just does, and it's whatever it is, and he doesn't have a say, so he just lives with it.
I think this is the Caleb Doom moment. I think the Force is telling us that we need to find the faith in the actual Force and the faith and believe in Filoniverse. Like, we love Filoni, we believe in it. So the Caleb Doom thing in the comic and the thing in the Ahsoka book, and it's going to line up with the stuff in the cartoon, and it's going to line up in a movie, and it's multi-layered if you believe in the Force. And so I think this community is the perfect place to talk about this.
But
I think it's the Caleb Doom thing, though.
Doing a lot of respect to the people that wrote these stories in the comics, in the Ahsoka novel. I feel like he's doing a lot of respect to those people that wrote this stuff by taking some of their stories. He can't take everything written in Legends. He can't take everything written in the EU. They can't do that. I know everybody thinks that's the way it should be, but they can't. It's just not the way that things are done. And so he has to take bits and pieces. And I feel Filoni, Favreau, the creative team at Lucasfilm right now is actually doing a really good job of paying their respects to the stuff that was written for them to take from. You know, I mean, I know everybody throws a giant shit fit when they talk about the decanonization of EU and Legends, but that had to be done at some point for them to tell their story the way that they're going to tell it. Like, I know it's a big no-no and it's a big taboo, but
so I mean, let me. I think that we're conflating something. So, like, when I'm saying that he doesn't care, I mean. I'm not talking about he doesn't care about the Ahsoka novel or he doesn't care about the comic books. What I mean by that is that he has to divorce himself from what he has the ability to make decisions off of, and then additionally, which when he brings these things up, I don't think he's treating what's written as his canon. He treats it as Legends, meaning that he gets to tell his own story in the way that he wants to tell it visually, and that what you see in any writing that has occurred under Disney or before is the legends of it, and he's telling you visually how it really happened. I think that's how he perceives it, and so and I think that's the process that he's going. So that what you need to know is that what you visually see until otherwise, unless what you read is canon until the visual tells you that it was Legends, and he's not going to clarify that, but that's what it is.
Yeah, I want to support that in saying that I think Filoni still sees tiers of canon, like we had prior to the Disney purchase, and with his relationship with George, it does seem that like what we show you on screen in live action and movies is top tier, and then things under that may have alterations in them that we don't have to adhere to if it doesn't meet the designs of our current story. I think that they have a different level of respect than George Lucas did, right? That he just does, that's not my stuff. I don't care. But I think Filoni cares, but he's not going to hold himself to something being precisely the way that it appears, say, in the Ahsoka novel that we're going to see on screen in Tales of the Jedi or in the Ahsoka novel. And perhaps even the work that we saw in Rebels and Clone Wars to there may be some artistic license, but I don't know that he divorces himself entirely from stories that he's not involved in. I'm not that cynical, but I do think he has to limit himself in his involvement, give his advice, and then it is what it is, right?
But being divorced and detached doesn't have to be cynical. I think Imagic Maker is talking about the Force, and you want to practice detachment from your art so you have a better perspective. And no one is like, oh my gosh, you didn't mix the right color paint for the figure that you painted. So I think Filoni's going into his palette, and we just have to believe in the Force.
Yeah.
Well, and at the same time,
For me.
At the same time, I'm looking at this from a professional standpoint, right? I'm looking at this from the studios and the producing side of things, not so much on what I feel. And it just seems like I don't see Marvel going into Kevin Feige's room and screwing with his whiteboard, right? His plan for the future. Dave is kind of hamstringed. He's kind of fighting a fight with one arm tied behind his back because he has the sequels he has to get to, right? So he's got the stuff he's working on over here, and he's got the sequels way over here. In fact, out of the picture. They're like way over here, barely on the picture. And he has to figure out how to get from here to here, right? And all of these stories, I am very much of the school that everything that happens at Star Wars Lucasfilm right now that involves story runs through his office. And it may not be the buck stops with him, but it absolutely goes through his office, gets red notes written on it, and passed along.
Well, let's
and whether
bring
his
up
input is taken, that's a different story. But it's definitely everything's going through his office.
Except that trench coat. The trench coat, come on.
I want to bring up one more thing, and then we'll transition topics again, because I really want to get to Andor, and I want to talk to Greg about some of the sets that he's visited and seen that we're going to see and have seen. But for this whole bit, there's a lot of talk, and Imagic Maker brought it up as well, that Kathleen Kennedy is inserting herself into the storytelling. That is a common thing you hear among the fandom. I don't think it holds any truth at all, like 0%. And I know some folks who know who have close friendships within Lucasfilm at a very high level within Lucasfilm, and I know I sound just like everybody else who says, "I know people. Trust me, bro." I'm saying, I know people who have sat at a table and shared drinks with folks who are at executive level associated with Lucasfilm, and that is not the story they tell at all. So, and Greg, I think you know the same folks I know, and maybe have some thoughts on that as well.
Yeah, I agree with what Star Wars Obsession said about Dave Filoni having his eyes over most things. That position he's now been given, I think that is exactly what's happening. Kathy just doesn't have the same Star Wars knowledge that Dave Filoni was brought up next to the master. So yeah, I think Dave's getting to see stuff. I think he's getting to cast his eye and see, put his tuppence worth into every sort of decision. And don't know how much involvement with the story group, but he must be in there at some point speaking to the story group about plans and things.
Well, and look, I mean,
this is a good pivot to Andor too.
Kathleen is involved in everything, but I think she's too busy. Her job is to make the stockholders happy, to make the board
accounting,
the board money. Her job is to make the company. She is CEO. She is no longer in the story department with Pablo, right? They're not running things anymore the way they used to. She used to be in the story group every day as part of her job. When she got promoted to CEO, and now she has to take care of the board. The board is on her throat every day. Why are we not making money? Why did you do this wrong? Why is this going wrong? Like, her job is to answer to the board of directors and not to walk into the story group and, for all lack of a better terms, shove things down their throat, right? If she's involved, yeah, she's probably on set. Yeah, she probably comes to a meeting. She's too busy. If you're a CEO of a company, you're too busy to go down there and mess with the story group, man. That's why Dave Filoni got promoted.
I
No,
want to shift top. Oh, go ahead, Magic Maker. Go
One
ahead.
second on this. So there's a way this happens. I mean, and this is not she's down there writing the story. This is not down there she's like looking at every detail. What happens is people come in and say, all right, what's going on with this story? What's the process? They come in, they give her pitch. She's going to spend about an hour to 2 hours with them at most. All right. And so what's going to happen? And they're going to give her their pitch for the story. They're going to describe the details, give the imagery of what they're going to show. They're going to go in there with storyboards, for example, and they're going to have their whole thing to present to her. And when it's all done, and that's going to take them about 30 to 45 minutes to do. And then after that's done, she's going to sit and think about it. She's going to have a conversation with them. And then after that, she's going to give her thoughts. I want this cut out. I want this emphasized. I want this process to go. And this is the basic thing that I want to go. This is where I want to see these things blossom. This is what I want to see more of Leia. I want to see more of this. I want to see more of that. And this is what's going to happen in the process. And then she's going to be done with it, and they're going to go and make it happen. And then what's going to happen is she's going to come back onto the set to make sure that what she's seen, she was, I talked about making sure that there was more Leia in that story. Show me how much of that is in there. And then they're going to do that. She's going to take 15 minutes out of her day to have them show her. And that's going to be it. But that is exactly how she puts her input in. To say that she's not in there and that she's not describing and or directing these pieces of what she wants to see in the story, I think is BS. If she is not directly giving it over to Filoni, all right, and she has her say, this is exactly what she's doing. All right.
Yeah.
And if you don't think she does this, then I don't know what to say, but I think that's exactly what's
I
happening.
don't think she has time for
Yeah,
that.
I don't think she's doing that.
I don't think she's got time for that.
Like 0% of that. She's doing
My
that.
Andor pivot.
You can't spend 15 minutes when you go down on the set to say, show me where you gave me that. That's when she's not showing him at all. That's BS. No, we don't see that at all. I 100% disagree with y'all.
Yeah, I understand.
Disagree with y'all.
I understand you disagree, but I think there's zero of that happening. From people I've talked to,
I hear what you're saying,
but I'm pretty sure I'm right.
So you're saying she's not managing at all?
She doesn't have time to manage. She's managing a board of directors where she's getting 100 emails a day because they're following Twitter and they're watching the show.
She's meeting with showrunners and she's talking about the what they're planning. And so from that part, you're saying
she doesn't go down there one time during the week to check on her production. Is that what you're saying?
That's why they hired Dave Filoni. That's why they hired. That's why they promoted Dave Filoni.
He has his own productions he's doing on the things that she's interested in. That's what she goes and does.
Let's be clear about she does go down, but she's not checking. Are you following my storyline?
Well, I think it's like the principal's office. If KK shows up down at the set of Ahsoka, it's because why is this second director spending this amount of time and wasting my money?
I think she has enough problems dealing with the Star Cruiser. I think they're bleeding money. They're hemorrhaging money, arterial hemorrhaging money over there to where they have to hire.
They own the land. How could they be hemorrhaging money? They own that land.
Yeah, they're not. They're still.
Yeah, they're not. I mean, she doesn't see the Star Cruiser at all. I mean, the one thing that is the only thing that happens as far as the Star Cruiser is concerned is when they're like, well, Kathleen, we took your suggestion on that one, and now the park is not doing as well.
No, man.
Hey, Parks, what can you do?
Okay, guys, we've got to.
That is not her. That is not where she has any control. She has no control over the parks.
Right, I need to rein it in just a little bit. It's getting a little out of control.
Like the pun, Santa. Like the pun. Rein it in.
Well, Santa, the Andor pivot is the art. I think my theory is that all that art stuff from Mortis Arc, that's all fake. Why would Filoni put it in there? Like, that's what we're talking about. That's the juice. Are they really putting stuff in there? Is it just some person that put it in the background? That's the juice, I think.
Yeah. So
pivoting to Andor.
Good lead in there, Jedi Mike. So episode 5 of Andor. So we had a really fervent discussion on Kathleen's involvement, and we have very different ideas of that. And there's just different opinions of what's going on. I know people who are closely related who have told me very different stories than what you're representing, a Magic Maker. But I'm not there, and so I can't argue with you directly. And I think the passion and the enthusiasm and the discussion is well warranted.
I don't think they know. I don't think they know.
Well, you can say that. That's fine. But Andor, Andor, episode 5, Knights of Melvin, stopped in the chat to say the worst one yet. Now, I know that some folks are saying, look, that episode was slow, boring, not what I was here for. But and even Meg is like not my favorite episode. Of the 5 that we've had, would you say that it's your least favorite? Was it bad? Was it okay? Good? Are you into it? Where are you falling on it? And Greg, I'm really interested. I know you said you may have to go, so I want to make sure we get your thoughts on this right off the bat.
Cool. I'm gonna have to bounce in a sec. So I'm loving the show. I'm thinking the fact it's 12 episodes, giving us much more time to get to see the character development and growth. You're getting a lot more detail you wouldn't get if it was the same 8 episodes as Mandalorian or 6 episodes Kenobi was. It's nice, and just the little details in the background that you can see because you're getting that time to spend in a location like. Also, we spoke last week about all the Easter eggs in Luthen's shop. This week I was like that meme of Leonardo DiCaprio pointing from at the Shikari stones from Temple of Doom in the background. I'm just loving it, and the obviously the fact again Scotland's on screen in Star Wars, which just makes me excited. I'm just loving it. I think next week, obviously, I think we'll get the sort of climax to this kind of chapter. It looks like it's in 3 episode chunks. This will be the end of the robbery thing taking place at the dam. I'm just really digging it, and the slow build. I'm liking it. It's just it's a different spin from the other shows they've done. I think you could potentially bring in a new audience to maybe haven't liked the sort of Star Wars, the traditional Star Wars, the Jedi and the Sith and the bounty hunters and things. It's just a different kettle of fish altogether, and it's the slow build. I think it's working for me. More Scotland on screen. That's what I would see, and hopefully get in it eventually.
Yeah, it's really great. And I agree with you. I think that this coming episode is going to be the culmination of the heist, right? That's going to happen at the dam. You were able to go out there and visit it and take some pictures. Now, just remind me, when you went out there and took pictures, they had not begun shooting any coverage there. Is that correct?
I don't believe so. I think I went on a Sunday. They had like all the crew tents. They had all the signage was there. We saw like maps to where people were, getting dropped off and then how to get to the location. So I think they were due to shoot the next day for, I think it was 2-3 weeks they were shooting there. I had a friend who was doing the crowd costuming. He's a costumer. Dresses the cast, costume department. But he was working on the crowds for that scene. He was based there for that, and they were there. They were definitely there 2-3 weeks because I remember there were some extra roles came up, and I obviously applied to try and get onto it, but sadly not. Didn't get picked. But so I think the day after they were meant to be starting, as I say, the big costume tents were there. There was still some sort of crew kicking about. There was security and stuff, obviously, because where you see the dam in the background, to the left of that, there was like a gun turret sort of built, and there was some other bits of things that looked like speeder bikes and other bits of almost looked like moisture evaporator parts or whatever. And there was a security guard guarding that because I was like, can I go and take a picture of it? You can't take any pictures. I was okay, like, sneaky pictures. And he says, "Can I go on that?" And he's like, "If you climb on that, I have to rugby tackle you down." I was like, "It'd be so worth it. It'd be so worth it." And then I got stories he used to do. He's a security for like concert venues and stuff in Scotland, and a very Glaswegian chap. But yeah, great to go there. And I'm going to go back because I didn't actually go up onto the walk across the dam because it was a 2-hour walk up.
I got a new song title for you. Andor touched my Andor touched my moisture evaporator. I don't know, some good song that you can write for being on set.
Yeah.
So episode 5, and Greg, I know we've got to let you go, but episode 5, your favorite, least favorite, somewhere in the middle of the pack. I got that you liked it. You're digging it. You're into the show. But where do you fall on that episode?
I'd probably put it similar level to episode 2 of the show. Sorry about that. It's not the best episode. I think episode 4 was the best one so far. But no, I'm liking the fact we're getting to meet the crew a bit, get to know a bit more about their background, and not just rushing straight into the action piece, which will be next week.
Great. All right. Well, thank you so much.
I have to go, guys. Thanks again.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Rock on, dude.
All right. Take care, my friend.
Take care, guys. See you soon.
All right. So I've seen Knights of Melvin's being very participative in the chat, and there is a side of the fandom that said this isn't quite. And I listened to Star Wars Theory's review of it so far, and episode 5 was a letdown to him. He was hoping we'd have the dinner scene, and that we would get to see like Sly more and all of that interaction. And there was a thought, and Melvin put it here. I'll just highlight this. They had dinner. They skipped it. Do you think that's the case, or that they haven't had it yet, and we will get it in an upcoming episode?
I think that they're still going to get it. For me.
Yeah. What do you think of Possession?
It's over. The table was set. He was primping and final touches on the tables and stuff, and it's over. It was that night. That's why she was so irritated. It's over, and they've moved on to her feeling even more oppressed in her own household. Her daughter hates her. Her husband hates her. Everybody hates her.
I will say, now that Obsession's saying it, it doesn't seem like Gilroy would be like, "Oh yeah, let's get the Force sensitive lady in the room so we can explore that."
Yeah.
Like, I hadn't thought about that till now. They probably are moving on, maybe.
Imagic Maker, what do you think?
It's already happened.
Oh my goodness. I do not think that it has happened yet.
Yeah, he's right on the table. It's the morning after.
It's the morning after, or a day or two later. It's definitely not that.
Because they're talking about going out this morning with her daughter, and she's like, I'm not going out with you, and so yeah, it's. I do think we're going to catch some scenes of it, but it's going to be by flashback memory. So I do think it's setting up something for the tension that we're seeing. I think that their arc is to realize what she's doing, and once they realize what she's doing, she's going to lose them, and they're going to have to make a choice between staying with the Empire or staying with her. And I think ultimately what we think is going to be the choice of being for the Empire is actually going to be the choice for her. So we're being led to think that they're against her when we actually find out they're really for her. They just think that they just have a different opinion of what they think she's doing because they don't really know. And so I think that's where the arc we're getting set up. And I think that what has occurred, the reason why we were told about this dinner was because there's actually going to be a lot of things that's going to start showing up. And I think we won't see that until the next arc. I find it funny that it was compared to this episode was compared to episode 2, because it's exactly in the same place in this arc that episode 2 was. Right. So I think I think this is the type of story we're going to get, and I don't think we're going to get a really fast-paced arc until the last one.
Well, and I highlighted Nerd Mafia's comment here, as well as Star Wars Meg's video, that there do seem in the trailers to be some indications of the dinner coverage, like in the show, and that they just
Meg knows the
entirely
tea. We
skip
have
it.
to be careful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think entirely skipping it, it doesn't bear itself out in what we've seen in the trailers, and I expect that we're going to get to see the dinner, just based on observation, not alone. That's all I have. So maybe
I agree with you. I just think it's already occurred in the sense that as the timeline is giving us, the story has occurred. Otherwise, not that it would be, something that would be, that Star Wars doesn't do all the time, where they, give you Chekhov's gun and then don't do anything with it, But I think Tony Gilroy is a pretty darn good writer, and I haven't seen any examples in any of his previous writing where he shows you the gun and then doesn't use it. He may not use it in a linear fashion, but we've already seen that this story from the last one is not told completely linearly, because we keep going back to, they're using flashbacks. They're going to use it again.
Yeah. Well, we know there's going to be big Senate chamber kind of stuff as well. Like this shows where after this week or this coming week, we'll be halfway through the series. And it is, and I see the criticism. I see it in the chat, and I see folks talking. The criticism about the slow burn. It's just slow. When do we actually pick up pace and get this thing moving? When do we get it out of the station?
I mean, look at the original Bourne movie, right? Go back and watch the original Bourne movie, right? There's action, but there's a lot of little storytelling. There's a lot of little. It's very subtle, and then it shoots off like a cannonball, and then you can't stop the momentum, right? So there's a lot of little stuff. There's a lot of little pearls running around too, right? That if we're rewatching and catching. So there's a lot of good stuff going on. I don't really look at this as a slow burn. This is another episode where, for me, the way I saw this episode specifically, the infantry portion of the mining facility of the target, let's say, the setup is brilliant, right? The rebellion is desperate, but not only are they desperate, they can't just come all out at their targets, right? So they have to use occurrences like this festival that's about to happen, right? This festival is going to draw people out, and everybody wants to go see, even the workers. So the lieutenant's like, well, if you don't get this stuff done, you're not going to go watch the festival. And they're like, dude, it happens once every 3 years. Like, come on, have a heart. And he's like, fine, but double time day after, right? He's set the setup for this mission is just how the rebels would do stuff.
It's quite brilliant. Wasn't his idea to let them all go see it, right? He let it be their idea.
Skeleton crew, right? Like this is such good Star Wars storytelling, because this is exactly how the rebellion would do things. They take advantage of the Empire's relaxed nature because they're so overwhelming, but yet you're getting to see all of the oppression that's happening at the same time. It's just, for me, this is just good storytelling. It's not a slow episode because you're getting to see so many different things.
I agree with you, but Meg asked this question. I saw Eckhart Slatter's video as well. Why is there so little fan interest in Andor? And I thought that was followed up very well by her question. Would you care about this kind of show if the Star Wars label was removed? And Nikki, I thought, has a really great answer in if this didn't have the Star Wars label on it, it would probably be more successful as a sci-fi show, which raises an interesting question. Do you think that just a Tony Gilroy spy thriller, take away the Star Wars label, take away the Star Wars elements of it, tell the same story, do you think it would be better received, more interest in it, or less?
I think it would be just as well received, because I think the people that understand this type of storytelling are watching CSI whatever on CBS, or they're, it's a different type of person. It's the soccer mom, St. Elsewhere. I don't know. It's a soap opera. It's different. type of soap opera than the space wizard soap opera side of Star Wars. That's all. So the slow burn thing is just it's the fandom arm wrestling. What does a slow burn mean? To me, but we could have a half an hour on that.
Well, it's for me, it's really simple. This is not this is not your children's Star Wars. This is more of an adult fed content. First 5 minutes, we're in a brothel and people are getting gunned down in the street, right? Like there's a lot of adult content in this. And like somebody said, their kids don't like it, but their parents do. That's exactly why I feel there's not more conversation happening across the metaverse, because the kids aren't talking about it, but the grownups are, and the grownups talk about it more in person and over texts, and they're not on all of the social media platforms. So I think that's also part of the reason is the kids aren't digging it, because it's it came out a little violent for Star Wars.
Yeah, and let's really say it. This person is claiming their space on YouTube and saying, I think this, and this is my space. To me.
Right.
Yeah.
They're saying, oh, well, it's not loud. Okay, it's not loud for you, dude.
Well, and you make a really good point, Jedi Mike, and I want to come back to it in just a second, but I have to point out Sheev the Wise. I've been watching for him to show up, because in this week's predictions, he had an autocorrect issue. And you'll see his name scrolling by just underneath his comment right now. The Shrub.
Shrub the Wise. Oh my gosh.
So I went ahead and put it into the leaderboard this week. The
Shrub is his VR name. When he's in VR, he's Shrub.
Shrub the Wise. I couldn't help myself. It had to have been an autocorrect when he filled out his name on there, and I love it. It makes me happy. But good to see you,
Roger the Shrubber.
It's great.
You shall create me a shrubbery.
I'm going to say
everybody.
This show, exactly, Obsession. It's not for everybody. And I haven't yet had my wife watch a single episode, because I already know 5 episodes in, that she would have checked out by now and said, no, I'm not watching it. Watch it without me.
Does she like stage plays? Does she like two actors that are really getting into the meat of a scene?
She doesn't like drawn out stories. She likes things to happen quickly and move along. And so anytime things take longer to play out, she checks off. And that happens consistently.
She doesn't like stories.
Her and Josh.
If she's anything like my wife, there's got. All right. So when you're telling a story with Flash and you're quickly moving, you're establishing emotions, getting the people tied to it and moving it along. When you're telling a story that the way we're telling a story, it is not a drama in the sense of a romantic drama that will typically hold people. I'm not trying to think it's the tension in this thing is not really relationship drama. This drama is the development of relationships from individuals, and so we're going from individuals to relationship versus relationship in tension. So the way that many people are, they're either going to watch something that is developed quickly in Flash, and because it catches their attention, it lets them know through color, through music, through motion, the emotions to feel, or there's established emotion of a relationship and you place tension into that relationship. What we're in the process of doing is developing relationship, so the tension that is felt is from the surrounding things that is trying to stop relationship from occurring. When people aren't invested, they find themselves bored fairly quickly. What is keeping our attention in this whole story is that we realize it is moving towards something, so we're intrigued by what's actually developing. Yeah. So that's the storytelling that we're getting, and I guarantee you this is a 3-act story, and we're midway through, or getting ready to be midway through the second act. So the act 1 was our first arc where we learned our characters. Our initial, we have the point where Lucia comes up and Rial comes in, and he's the guardian of our thing. So we're using a hero's myth storytelling, which is typical for Star Wars, to tell this story. and he was at the Guardian. He had to make a choice to leave his old world behind and to move into the new world. This is exactly the storytelling format we're using.
There's a lot of adulting for some of these Star Wars people, though. That sounds like people don't want to go to this more adult story. They want to go to the more child story because I don't want to grow up. But again, that's another half an hour with Jedi Mike. We'll talk about it on the Discord.
It's still the hero's myth. It is still the hero's myth. It is told in the exact same format.
Yeah, Jedi Mike, you're spot on. People have been asking for a long time. Can I get the grown-up story of Star Wars? Can I get this? Like, this was great when I was 10, but I'm not 10 anymore. Can I get a grown-up story of Star Wars? Doesn't have to be like TVMA or.
I feel you, man. I'm a Toys R Us kid. I don't want to grow up, but.
But this is delivering on the grown-up story of Star Wars. It's just not moving at the pace. Right?
And the thing is, like Ewan McGregor, he does this with his acting, right? When he gets into Halston, he's Halston. He was the executive producer. He didn't want to go to that place. And we want to see Andor. We need these deep, juicy scenes with this Andor character because it brings it out. Ewan, for some reason, knew he didn't need to go to that place and take it deeper, and that's why I was a little. Anyway, that's a side tangent.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're fine, and I'll come to you next Obsession. Just give me 1 second. Is when I heard that this was going to be spy thriller, and I was thinking Bourne Legacy, Bourne Supremacy, all that. I was expecting a quicker pace kind of thing. I expect that's going to happen over time. It's just hasn't happened yet. Go ahead. Obsession.
Well, but this is no different than every single Star Wars project from the inception of A New Hope, right? Every single Star Wars project divides the fandom, right? Sometimes they make a show that builds a bridge across the fandom that was broken from the previous show or two, but ultimately this fandom will never 100% agree on anything.
Anything. I think that's a good point, and I kind of brought this up earlier.
And I'm not saying that your Star Wars, my Star Wars. It's Star Wars. Your perception and interpretation of what you're viewing on screen is different from mine because we have all lived different lives. We all have different points of view. You choose to see what you want to see. That's a personal choice. So I don't attack fans for saying, "Oh, well, it's your Star Wars sucks." Right? For me, it's you. There's always been this divide. There's always been these strong, passionate opinions. So have yours. Just don't shit on mine.
Exactly. Very good. Very well said. And think of it this way: when there was one Star Wars movie, Star Wars, 1977, you either liked it or you didn't. So if you liked Star Wars and you were a Star Wars fan, there's a monolithic Star Wars fan. Star Wars. Empire Strikes Back comes along. Now you've got two Star Wars, and you get more fans. But some fans enjoyed Empire more than others. You get to
Jedi.
Yeah, Jedi, right? You get Return of the Jedi and the Ewoks, and all of a sudden you start dividing the fandom. You add the prequels, you add more fans, it divides the fans. You add the sequels, you add more fans, and you divide the fans. The more you add, the more you're going to divide. And it's just spreading the fandom out across a more diverse spectrum than we had when there was just one movie, right? You had one monolithic Star Wars fan. And as that continues that spectrum continues to broaden, we're going to find more and more diversity within the fandom who like different things within the franchise. And some people, maybe Andor's not for them. Other people, Andor is going to be the thing for them. Right. And that's unfair.
And the cultural moment, like we weren't back in the day, man. I wasn't there with Tolkien. Like, get that stuff in between these two chapters. What are you doing? Like, man, we micromanage the hell out of the fandom nowadays. Well, and look, I just said something that I probably didn't want to say in here because my brain is the bicameral mind, right? Like,
sure.
Well, I mean, look, even back when there wasn't this open source of communication back when George made the original trilogy. So yes, there was uproar about, this and that, and Yoda this, and people didn't like him because he spoke funny, and people hated 3PO in, some people hated 3PO in A New Hope. Some people loved him, right? There has been divisiveness in this fandom from Jump Street. It doesn't matter what movie. From the inception of Star Wars, there has been divisiveness, and that's fine.
Yeah, that second 21 Jump Street movie was awful.
But it's about how we interact with one another. Yeah. If we're attacking one another on a consistent basis, that's when things get messy.
Yeah,
right.
You're right.
So
You're right.
If you want to call me a shill, I'm a shill, right? If you choose to act a certain way and I throw stones at you, knowing that you're throwing stones at me, we're all throwing stones in glass houses.
Yeah,
so
you're right.
For me, enjoy this part of Star Wars you want to enjoy. If you don't like it, don't watch it. If you're watching it just to find the bad parts, great. If that's what you want to do, but just don't rain on my parade.
Right. You're right. And
I'm gonna step in on this.
Okay.
You know me, Sam. I'd love for you to enjoy the Star Wars that you enjoy, and but to say that I don't get to complain, I think is BS. And,
you're allowed to complain. It's when you criticize somebody else's enjoyment. That's the divider.
But all right, so if I'm talking to you and I say, "How can you possibly enjoy this?" And and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. They don't do this. They don't do this. They do this. They don't do this. And so what I'm doing is I'm laying out my case to you, why it's a dumb story, or it's a bad story, or it's whatever, right? And you can choose to be offended by that, or you can choose not to be offended by that, and go, well, that's your opinion, man. And so it's going to depend on how you react. Or you can say, no, you're misinterpreting it, and you can have a little discussion, or you can turn into an argument if you wish it to turn into an argument. But it's really on the interaction between you two. Now, if you want to have your discussion on Twitter and it turns vile, don't be surprised. It's on Twitter. All right. And if you're having a discussion like we're having right now, and it turns, toward a direction it shouldn't, then I'm just being an asshole. Because I'm, because I'm just saying that if
I felt like I was just being an asshole, but just for a second, I just felt like
I'm just saying if I'm calling you names over a discussion because we have a disagreement over how good a Star Wars story is, whether it's the prequels, the sequels, Andor, whatever, all right, and you enjoy something and I don't enjoy something. And I'm saying this is why it ruins the story, and this is why it made me mad, because I felt it ruined this other story that I really enjoyed. And you said, well, I don't think it ruins it all. And so I'm mad because so now I'm in my complaint. I'm saying I don't want them to give us this story anymore, these kinds of stories anymore, because I don't want the things that I enjoyed before to be ruined. All right. I want more Star Wars. I just don't want them to ruin what I enjoyed before. That's the complaint, really, what's coming down. And your argument is, no, I really like this. I want more stories like that, and I don't care if it ruins your story. And so, and so, there's where the tension comes when you have those kind of interplay, and because it can come across in the effect of, I don't care how you feel, I want what I want.
Yeah,
that's when people start saying, well, you're a Bantha poodoo,
I've got the perfect thing that I think people.
Hold on. Obsession, go ahead. No, Obsession, go ahead.
Are you coming into these conversations with an open mind, willing to be changed? Is the question, right? Because
you do have to have good faith in the course of your discussion, right? And so if you're not going to have good faith in a discussion, it's not going to work.
Real high up. But the conversation, the question at the end of the day that you have to ask yourself is, are you willing to be wrong? And are you willing to concede that? Because I'm wrong all the damn time. And I say it openly. I pay out my money when I'm wrong. And I bet frivolously with my mouth that my checkbook doesn't like. Right. But I'm willing to concede when I'm wrong. How many of us can look in the mirror and say that openly and honestly to ourselves? Because a lot of us that come into these forums are unwilling to concede our point, even if somebody does present a point that could change your mind. Right. So it's really, I'm all about having debate, but it comes down to,
you're a master debater.
Can you concede when you're wrong? And can you admit to yourself when you're wrong? Not just me. Right.
Yeah.
That's where people get upset because, well, if you feel got by somebody's opinion or their statement of fact, which is a stupid thing to say out loud, then you get mad and then start throwing stones instead of just saying, that's a good point. I've never considered it. Let me get back to you when I've had some time to think on it. Right.
Yeah.
That's where I come from. I'm wrong all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
Me too. Jedi Mike,
me too. I'm not. No, sorry. I don't. Let me
Keep going, Imagic.
I can
Keep
have
going.
one more retort, and then I'll shut my mouth. And then, which is not easy for me to do. So the only retort I'll say is I agree that people need to admit when they're wrong. Sometimes there's not a matter of being wrong. It's a matter of opinion.
Yes.
I don't think this thing aligns, right? Yeah. And I think this is bad storytelling because it doesn't align with what I like. And so when you say that you like it and you want more of it, so this is in the interest of a person who likes Star Wars. Both people like Star Wars. Both have an interest in the direction they want it to go. And this is what I was trying to say. And when you have a differing opinion from me, all right, and we're both advocating for that position, being I like and want more of this, I don't like and don't want more of this. What you're saying is that in the course of that is that one is saying, well, you have to effectively, if it continues in this direction, if you want more of this, then you're telling the other person, if all we're going to get is more of this, then you can't like what's coming out in Star Wars anymore. And you have to write it off. And that's the decision they have to make. And they don't want to make that decision. They want to have the Star Wars they want. All right. If I'm of the one opinion and I say that and I'm advocating for my side, and I'm saying, I don't want any more of the Star Wars that you like. I don't like it. And I think it should be changed to be what I like. I'm telling you that unless you start liking the Star Wars that I like, that you can't enjoy the new Star Wars anymore. All right. And so that right there is the crux of what causes people to start to go down the process of being assholes to one another. And that's all that's all I'm laying out here. Whether we agree or disagree, and if we have choice in the direction that Star Wars goes, But what we hope is that our opinion is heard, and that the people at the top go, well, we're going to choose to go with Imagic Maker's opinion. Which, if I'm in complete directly conflict with you, Santa, or with you, Obsession, then you're not going to get the Star Wars that you enjoy because I have now influenced the direction of Star Wars to be in a direction that you don't like. And as a fandom, when you have these diverse opinions and you're trying to make yourself heard, you're going to be as loud as possible.
Yeah.
And that is why we're in where we're at. All right,
I want to let Jedi. No, you're great.
Jedi, my point is to go to a completely different part to talk. I want to promote what Nikki's talking about in this discussion, like what is important, right? Certain people want certain important things. So it was important for me, like Imagic Maker was saying, maybe in the story to see the crew. Oh no, it was Greg. To see Andor's relationship with that one dude that he's like got tension with, but then they kind of make up at the end. Maybe it was totally unnecessary, but for like those two actors in that meaty scene, that was important to me. And I see some people watching House of the Dragon. It's going too fast. They're not giving me enough. And then other people, like, it's a really interesting discussion to have. And I'm just glad we're all having it, because I love it.
I agree with you.
That was my point.
I've had Ducky Momo's comment highlighted for the longest time because this is also a truism. Right? As your kids start getting into Star Wars and they like things that maybe you don't like, there has to be some grace there to allow your kids to enjoy their Star Wars. And I think Sheev put it really, really well, and it's my opinion as well. They're making so many different styles of Star Wars, so many different flavors of Star Wars, if you will. Right? And different things for some people and not for others. It doesn't have to be an all or nothing. It's right. If I go to my favorite pizza place and they serve pineapple pizza, I don't have to walk away with my head in shame because I can't get my favorite pizza anymore. I can. They still have it on the menu. I can still enjoy it. And the same is true, I think, with Star Wars. and it comes down to your taste. It comes down to your
And
opinion.
it's not
And
true.
there's-
It has to all be the meat lovers pizza.
Right,
has
because
to
Some people
Okay.
want to go out to the restaurant every single week, and then
Mhm.
after a while, you change. You know what? I just want to get delivery for a couple of months, and then you go back to the restaurant maybe.
well, that too. But
No-
it's to say
No,
that
no vegan pizzas, people.
if they're making the pineapple
Not
pizza,
allowed.
that means they're not spending enough time making the meat lovers pizza, and so I've got to get
That's right.
triggered because they're spending too much time making pineapple pizza,
Well, I mean,
and all
like,
you
man.
people who like it are ruining my pizza. That's not
But Ricky
true.
said it best.
It's not
I mean,
true.
every fandom is crap, right?
Yeah.
If you're a Lord of the Rings fan, they're at war right now. If you're
Yeah.
a Game of Thrones, they're at war right now, right? Star Wars is at war. Marvel is imploding at a rate I've never seen before, right? Like everybody's at war. We're just thankful that
Supposedly,
we're just glad that the name Star Wars is already in our title, so it's expected.
Except for Mike Porter, who shills for all of it.
I
love Mike
I should-
Porter, and we have a Mike Porter dad joke coming up. I want to get back to, we spent a lot of time talking about opinions and arguments within the fandom. I want to get back to the show itself. And I asked Greg the question, and I want to go just around the circle and say, episode 5, your favorite, your least favorite, you like it, you dislike it, where are you on the show as a whole? And
it was a 9 for me.
a 9.
Yeah, it was just like I think yeah, because I've got basically 8.5, 9, 9.5, 8.5, 9. Like it's been pretty consistent to me because I like learning about everything. It's fine for me in this setting, whatever that means. I'm not trying to be an asshole.
Excellent. Sometimes, look, I've found it for me. I don't try to be an asshole, but I am anyway. It happens.
Yeah,
I can't help
the ticker.
it. Obsession, where are you on episode 5? Favorite, least favorite? Where are you falling?
No, it's not my least favorite. I enjoyed it. There's a lot of pearls running around. We get some closer look at a few things that I wanted to check out, and I like this style of show. I like spy. I like spycraft. I like this style of shooting. You know, it's very guerrilla style, and I really like it. Everything is. I mean, this is how I picture. This is how a rebellion is built, right? You're taking pieces from other places and you're putting them to your use. I mean,
Right, we're hoping it gets good.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is look. I mean,
The
you gotta-
political stuff, all of the ISB political stuff. That's what that was my highest episode because I
And
want that.
My favorite part is still that security doofus sitting at his mama's kitchen getting lectured while he eats his Choco Puff. Like for me,
Right.
this dude is getting everything he deserves.
Eating cereal. That was great.
But I was
Imagic
confused by the hologram at the end because, well, we'll get to it. But I was confused. Like, is he going to turn or is he not going to turn? That was intriguing because I
I have a
thought,
theory.
okay,
I have a theory. We'll talk about where we're episode
Fantasizing
6.
about Andor. That's all. I think he was like, man, he is handsome. Look at that. devil.
Oh, I like that guy.
Fella.
No,
oh my goodness.
the Magic Maker. Where do you fall on?
Hey,
episode
Dios
5?
mío.
I'll say I haven't seen it a second time. I have now seen the previous 4 twice, and I like them much better on the second viewing. So I sat down and watched them in succession with my daughter this weekend, and I was like, I like this a lot better right now. And I think I got a chance to pay attention just to like more detail, pick up the intricacies of what people placed in there. And I think when you get a chance to watch it a second time, and then I always talk to my daughter about it at the end. And so she gets to notice things. I get to talk about what I noticed, and she'll go, "Oh no, I didn't see that." And then we'll go back on there and look at it and go, "It was right here." And so I haven't had a chance to do it because it's school night, and Wednesdays are always really, really busy for us. So it's me watching it by myself. And so I enjoyed it. I'll say that. They're really, and now I'm more reticent to give a bad review on anything now because I've watched it a second time and gone, oh, I actually really like this.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, can you speak to the acting for you?
Yeah, I'm enjoying the story and the acting. I haven't found, honestly, I mean, other than it being the slow telling of a story, I I don't know if I have a complaint, and I'm not even sure that's a complaint. So, right now I'm kind of I am out there where I'm kind of willing to say, let's see what develops. So because I'm still sitting there going, let's see what develops. I'm not. And I kind of like I did this. I started doing this with Boba Fett, where I kind of waited and said, hey, let me wait to the end and kind of see the whole story before I give it a rating. And because what happened was I just found myself nitpicking things in the course of the story, and that caused me to not enjoy it as much as I would if I saw it in its whole. And so I guess my one complaint would be then, if I'm going to complain about something, is that Disney didn't drop it all at once, so I could just watch it and get it over with and go, let me think on that. Let me watch it again and see if I really like it.
Well, you mentioned something that we brought up last week, and that I think is a sign of the quality of the writing and the storytelling, is that on rewatches, you're picking up on things you didn't catch the last time. Whether it's your second, third, or fourth watch, you're picking up on stuff. It just shows the depth, and intricacy of the story, that its rewatchability adds to your enjoyment of the show. I think it's brilliant. It's not maybe the most, for me personally, this was my least favorite episode of the 5. Least favorite. That's not to say that I hated it. It was just the least of the favorites, right? And for me, it was maybe a 7 out of 10. Maybe 7.5 tops. I think Jedi Mike and I were on sort of the same page the night we watched it, or it was somebody else. But it grows on me, and I'm excited about where it's going. And I wanted to bring up, where do you think it's going? We mentioned Cyril with the cereal. That's how I remember his name now. It helps. But so Cyril. I mentioned him looking at that hologram at the end. Mm-hmm. I think when the heist goes off, there's going to be some sort of news feed saying this terrible thing happened, most wanted. If you see him, report him, kind of thing. And he knows him, and he's going to call up the ISB and say, "I know that dude. I know what he's up to. I know what he's up. I can help." And that's when what's her name? She didn't eat cereal, but I remember her name too. But she will contact him, and that's how the two of them are going to get tied together and move forward on the chase for Andor.
Yeah, because I guess if either of them ends up turning into a fulcrum type tool for the rebellion, that might be the second season. Maybe I'm wishing for it too much. I just was like, is this guy screwing this whole rent-a-cop mission up, but he's still going to go after this guy? Like, it didn't make a lot of sense to me sitting at the table.
Yeah. Where do you think it's going, Obsession?
As far as, well, I mean, here's a spoiler. He makes it out alive.
Wait, Dominic didn't say that.
Cassian lives?
Look, I mean, there's probably going to be some casualties. There's probably going to be some stuff that's not, it's going to be awesome because we're going to get to see a battle. I think everybody's been itching for a good old fashioned battle. Get some stormtroopers in the action. We saw that TIE fighter flying all low. So, they know they're outgunned. And this is one of their only chances to really put it to them for 3 years, right? They've been planning this for a while and they figured this is the right time. I think the lieutenant's going to die. I think he's like the sacrificial bishop. He's got to sacrifice himself for the team to get out, whether it's opening a bay door or something's going to happen to that dude. But yeah, we know they get out, and I think the next course set after this is Saul Guerrero's place. I think we're headed to a larger part of the gritty rebellion. I think this is, them kind of initiation almost. They got to prove that they can get stuff done to the larger rebellion, and once they pull this off and show up with hundreds and hundreds of thousands of credits, it's almost like a buy-in sort of. And
so you think the two women went off on their part of the mission because they could not pull it off as Imperial officers, and so they're like the escape route, or they're doing something. We don't know what they're doing though.
I didn't see a lot of women running around that facility. Did you?
But we've seen officers, but no,
Right.
not that facility.
It's just about that facility. We haven't seen a lot of women on that facility, and therefore neither have they. So maybe they think, the women going in, it might be a vulnerability that they can't afford. Maybe, think about what they did in Mando when they went into the Imperial facility. The hot shot gunners were on the ridge for the exit strategy. So I think that's more of what it is. I think these guys are covering the outside in case things go south. You always got to have a backup plan.
Well, and what were they going to do if Andor didn't fly the ship? I mean, we're going to see. I mean, that whole part, like this whole plan. I wonder if they have specialized skills, and those two ladies were going off because of some skill that we don't know of.
I think you got to have backups in case things go sideways. You got to have a way out in case things go sideways. And these people don't even have a ship of their own. Luthen flew in on his ship and was like, "Peace, I gotta go."
True. A Magic Maker.
Can't even leave him a little pod to get out. Like,
where do you think we're going with the show, Magic Maker?
All right, well, I definitely think we're getting to the midpoint, which is an easy one. So obviously we're having the attack, but it's going to set up the structure for us going to the Darkest Night. So we're going to be on a downward set from here. So I think the downward set that's going to set up, it will be either the betrayal or the realization of everything by Mon Mothma's family and their abandonment of her, which I don't think is going to happen. I think it'll be their death. I think we're going to be focused a lot on Mon Mothma in the next in the next story arc, and I think that's going to develop there. I do think that, and I think that in the ultimate story is, and I think what we're looking at with Cyril is that he's. I'm trying to think of the character's name in Les Miserables, who's after the main character in that. I'm trying to think of the inspector. Jean, was that was it? Anyway. But I think he's going to play that kind of character where he's going to be after, Andor through the story, only to in the end realize that Andor is right and let him go.
Oh, interesting. Javert is the guy's name. Daniel.
Yes, Javert.
You raised a point about going to the Darkest Night. In the trailers, we see Cassian in prison attire. The thought going into the show was that he was infiltrating. My thought now is that he is actually captive. That Cyril is going to be involved in actually catch Deidre. That's it. They're going to catch him, imprison him, and that's going to be the Darkest Night part of the story before they make the jailbreak and we lead towards the chase in the end, leaving us ready for season 2. So
I wonder if we're going to get any of the partisans going too far, and that affects Mon Mothma, and that's why she's got to check out or step back a little. Like, who knows what we're going to get in the second half of this season also with the partisans.
Very exciting. Very exciting. All right. Well, I think we've gone really long today. It was a great discussion. I had a lot of fun hanging out with you guys. Jedi Mike, thank you for volunteering to join us today. Wow. Great to have you with us today. It was wonderful. Appreciate it. Obsession, thanks for dropping in. I know we're on time difference here, but you appreciate you being with
early. I barely got out of bed.
We appreciate Obsession kicking ass and taking names in the community. That's what we appreciate.
I try.
Really
I'm having
good.
fun.
All times of the day. He's a hard worker.
And look, a Magic Maker and I, we've been doing this now for a couple years, and it's been a absolutely privilege to be doing the show with you, my friend, and to have the difference of opinion. This is why we came together in the first place, because Magic Maker and I would kind of, go at each other on the keyboard, but in a respectful way. And when we started the show, we were able to have these great conversations with different opinions and say, no, you're just wrong. You're and it was really good.
For this. I didn't realize there was a Grogu under your beard.
Yes.
I just saw your shirt. I didn't realize because your beard covered and it was white. I didn't even see it. And I'm like, is that
There are elves living in that beard. You don't know. There are midichlorian-sized elves that are living in the beard right now.
It's a
That's
great
good.
Imagic Maker, we would not be able to have the oxygen that is this community without your opinion, man. We need the artistic integrity that you
Absolutely.
understand.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So thank you, my friends. I appreciate you being here. I'm going to give one more reminder. We've got this fantastic figure. We've got Boba on the throne here. The throne room scene at the end of Mandalorian Season 2. We've got the throne. We've got Boba. And Fennec Shand is on her way as soon as they release that figure. This is our sideshow collectibles figure. Hot toy 1/6 scale Boba Fett. And this is going to be a channel giveaway for somebody, one of our elite squad members at the $10 level, $10 a month or above. There is no above, but 10 is the most. $10 level for at least 6 months. If you've been a supporter for at least 6 months at the $10 level, and we're going to do it after Fennec is released. We'll give away both figures so you get the entire scene. Just as a huge thank you, my friend Obsession loves to give away things. Me too. Oh, Santa loves to give gifts away, and we'll be doing this for our supporters. Just as a huge thank you to all of you who support us. So I keep freezing up. So we're going to call it a day. Once again, bottom of my heart, thank you all so much. And my friends, until next time, may the force be with you always. And ho, 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 Merry Christmas. Bye-bye.
Hot dang! Talking through the news from a galaxy far away. Toys and book reviews, positivity all the way. Come and join the fun, subscribe and like away. Movie news and show reviews, it's like Christmas every day. Oh, Star Wars Santa, Star Wars Santa, the Star Wars Santa Show. Oh, what fun it is to chat on the Star Wars Santa Show. Oh, Star Wars Santa, Star Wars Santa, the Star Wars Santa Show. Oh, what fun it is to chat on the Star Wars Santa Show. Ho, 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 ho. Hot dang, ladies and gentlemen, you're in for a treat tonight on the Star Wars Santa Show. He can feel your presence. So join the chat, loosen up and have some fun with Star Wars Santa.
I see it, Wentz. Good work.
Talking through the news from a galaxy far away.
Our Mike Porter dad joke. Why did the man feel the urgency to go to the fancy restaurant? Oh, because there's good food at stake. Oh, good job, Mike Porter. Thank you all so much. Bye-bye.